Now, topic 3, guys, comes from Patreon. Our good friend Kenny Char.
Kenny Char, one of the best patrons.
Yeah, definitely a good dude. What makes good box art? Colin has brought up a few of what he thinks are bad examples of box art, Resistance 3, Evolve, etc. But I don't think you've mentioned which ones you guys really like. Thanks. And kinda...
Funny!
We're making it a thing, he says.
So, Colin, why is this bad?
I mean, this is great. I mean, this is Ollie Moss, a very talented artist.
Amazing art.
But this isn't something you walk into a store. I mean, I said this when Resistance 3 came out, which is one of my favorite games on PS3. It's just like, what is it? Like, what does this tell you about the game? Nothing. It doesn't do nothing. It's a silhouette of New York City and a chimera skull.
If you look closely enough to see that it's a silhouette of
Yeah,
New
I
York
never
City.
noticed
I've
that.
looked at it for like all of these Gamecasts and never saw that until you
that's
pointed
hilarious.
it out.
So I mean, it's not, and there's obviously the Statue of Liberty in there and the Empire State Building. But
All right, now I just look stupid for
But-
not noticing.
No,
that.
yeah, I'm with you,
Thanks.
though. That's
definite. I came out originally and I'm like, why wouldn't they put Capelli on the cover? Like I think a good box art, unfortunately, is not the same as compelling art or something you want to hang in your studio or something like
Yeah.
that. Which is this. I mean, I love that we have this here, but nope, higher, nope. Oh my God, just put it down.
There's the garbage truck.
But it's something.
you can come on camera. I forgot.
But it's something that
Kevin
makes
Coyle, everybody.
it's
Heart
good
and
box
soul
art is something that
Ghostbusters.
makes you want to pick up the game. That makes Joe
This is your
Schmo
fault, Kevin. That's
and his
your fault.
girlfriend or whatever, or his girlfriend or his boy, whoever.
Yeah.
Go into a store and be like, this looks like a good game. That tells you nothing about Resistance. You know what I mean? Nothing at all. Kevin.
God damn it!
We're
Kevin.
finally capturing Kevin's.
This is all your fault. Facebook told me to blame something on you. They were right.
They'll
They
be
knew I
happy
wouldn't
about
need
this.
an excuse.
Box art just has to be compelling. It's the same thing as like,
Yeah.
what is a good movie poster?
I mean,
What is a
it
good,
needs a white dude. He needs to be holding a gun, maybe over his shoulder.
And this is the thing.
a
These
logo
days,
above it.
now he's walking away from us.
True,
Everyone
true.
gives all that shit, but that's like market research.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why those
No.
games sell well and Resistance doesn't. You know what I mean? Like they're not. It sucks that there has to be boil it down to the mainstream and give them that cover.
Yeah.
But you do it
But, I
and
mean,
you
it's
see success.
Thumbnails on YouTube videos. It's like
Yep.
you need to do that stuff to like get people in, and it's like the content will be there. The game is there. Like the box art doesn't affect the quality of the game. What I really like when people do is they have the reversible
Yeah.
box
And
art.
that
where
one's
it's
one
like
of them.
the super artsy one on the inside for the hardcore motherfuckers,
Right.
and then just the other side to sell it. And it's like it is what it is. But thinking about like what games do have good box art, I think Grand Theft Auto is a really good example.
Yeah, there's a
because
lot of cool colors. Pop,
a lot of pop,
pretty girl.
a lot of stuff. There's always the girl. There's like the things that
That's
keep
a
you
really good
interested,
example. Yeah.
and it's like they have a feeling too. It's like when you look at it, you know it's Grand Theft Auto, and they just kind of like nailed it with
Yeah.
that. I can't really think of too many other great examples. Like ones that come to mind for me, like Left 4 Dead, I think is very powerful because it's very simple, but it's like you know what it is, and it's also clever with the
hand.
or whatever.
I mean, like it's some. I think there's a tendency to overcomplicate things, if that makes sense. And I'm going to use licensed examples, but I think they stand right. Like when one of the coolest magazine covers, and this is again because I'm a fan, but I just think a cool fucking magazine cover was Game Informer's reveal of the Ghostbusters PS3 360 PC game. That was just a black cover with the logo right center. I was like, that is so fucking hot because that's a logo that speaks. You don't need to know anything else. I thought that would be the box art, and instead they gave like the one of them, and it's just like, why did you even bother doing that? Everyone knows what Ghostbusters is. Meanwhile, I think like GoldenEye, right? Like it's just fucking Pierce Brosnan right there. And you're already like, well, fuck, that's cool. The wrestling games usually, right? Like you think like Here Comes the Pain with Brock Lesnar flexing and the SmackDown logo and all the shit happening, or even like we were talking about No Mercy. No Mercy has everything on there you want as well. Like not being afraid to just say this is what we are. It's when people try to get cute that things get weird.
I think a good example of just the super simple but fucking sells it. Like Ghostbusters, that's interesting because it's the logo, so I feel like it's almost cheating. But Sonic and Knuckles is just the fucking coolest thing. Like I remember that box art. It's just the simple, like, do you remember what I'm talking about? Where it's like the oval and it's both of their heads kind of together. And it's just like, holy shit, that's so cool. Being in the 90s, if you look at that, you're not like, I want that right now. You're not a real person, or you're blind. It's one of the two.
Whoa.
What do you think of like the Kingdom Hearts ones? As I know you're a fan of those. You got all the pretty much all the characters kind of like piled up on top of each other.
I think
that stands out.
The Kingdom Hearts ones are a perfect melding of the artsy style with the selling style because it is very artsy and it's pretty looking and all that, but it has the Disney characters and it's obvious of what it is. It is also shiny.
Yeah.
Here's what
and like Pokemon, like you get the legendaries on up
exactly
front, right
it's
up
like,
front, and
you want that.
I want your
tells you what you
permission
want
for
about those
something,
games.
Tim.
Yes.
This is a very visual episode. I'm going to go out there and grab a handful of PS3 games
Okay.
and bring them back in. I want to, and we can go through and critique them. How's
Okay.
that sound?
Yeah,
All right,
I like
I'll
that.
be right back.
I like that a lot. It'll be good. Sorry for the audio listeners.
People have to
explain what
people
it
have to
is.
remember that for older gamers that, or I guess younger gamers that didn't know this, is that we grew up in a time where it was very healthy to be skeptical of box art, and good box art was
Mega Man.
yeah, like think about Mega Man or Mega Man 2's or Mega Man 3's box art, like fucking awful. Awful box art. Just all of it awful. Until 4, 5, and 6. And 6 obviously nailed it, and 5 was pretty good too, but it didn't matter. Those games were really good. The box art actually betrayed the game that was inside of the box. Meanwhile, you had games like Deadly Towers or Wizards and Warriors. Deadly Towers actually is a great example, or Athena, games that fucking suck. That had great box art.
Baller. Chessmaster.
Deadly Towers is like one of the great pieces of box art ever. A broader run game on NES, and that game's awful. So like, there's a lot of skepticism about box art, like about judging what's inside the game and or inside the cartridge or on the CD or whatever. And so I understand that level of skepticism, but box art really has to pop for people that don't know about games. That was why I was so surprised by Evolve's box art. I thought Evolve's box art was fucking bad. Like I remember like when I released it, I'm like, that's really bad.
And it's funny because we say that, right? And it's similar to what Left 4 Dead, and it's the same studio, right? In terms of just like Evolve is the paw print or whatever the hell you want to call it, and the hand for the zombie game. But the hand is stronger. It feels like it's
a zombie.
exactly.
You know?
You can wrap your head around it, I think, quicker than you can. What the hell does this footprint do for
Yeah.
Evolve? All right.
Yeah.
So here comes the random game. I grabbed the D's because Tim wants the D.
Oh, I'm all about that D.
Number 1, Diablo 3. What do we think of this? It's an eye. Got some fire going on.
You know, I think it's good because Diablo, the title itself, it kind of tells you what it is.
Sure.
You know, I feel like it sells it because of.
Is
what
this
it
one of those
already.
games you think that doesn't even need to worry about it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. But in addition to that, it's like, what else are they going to show? You know,
Yeah.
I feel like this is a perfect example. It's like, even if you don't know what Diablo is at all, you look at this and you're like, okay, Diablo, it's evil.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
This looks evil.
You got some hell colors there.
Yeah.
Trevor, you like it or
Yeah,
not?
it's-
Yay
it's-
or nay?
So
I'm gonna nay
I
it.
actually
I don't like it.
actually like the because I have the PS4 Diablo,
Yeah.
which is much more blue in its box art, and that jumps out more at me because I think the red there is like too cliche.
Mm-hmm. Colin? Any
No, I like it. I mean, my problem with this is the same as The Witcher, which is that it's not obvious that it said 3. You know,
good point.
so like I think normal Joe Schmo walks up then and says, "Oh, Diablo."
Yeah.
This
They have
this
no
from the
idea
guy
that's
that
Diablo.
sees New York City and
Yeah.
Resistance.
Exactly.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Here we go. Next up in the D category. Demon Souls.
Demon Souls is good. The logo's terrible.
I think the
Yeah.
whole. I don't think the whole. I think the whole art looks crappy.
It looks like a bad Photoshop.
exactly. It
Yeah.
looks like something Tim would make.
Yeah. I'm really not good at Photoshop.
Plus, you still got the
To be fair.
Spider-Man PS3.
Hey, Spider-Man,
Hey,
I'm
Spider.
borrowing your font for my PlayStation 3, okay? I'm old school gamer guy. Unopened. Def Jam Rap Star.
Horrible.
I think I think this Pine Box art does the trick.
Yeah,
I mean, it does the
that
trick,
tells
but
you
it's
what
like-
you're getting.
But they should have had a actual rapper. I
Yeah.
think that would have helped.
But then you get into licensing, and is it worth it?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it is for Def Jam.
Next up, Dead Space 3.
Yeah, that's good box
I
art.
mean, yeah,
That's a good box
the
art.
that's the market tested.
The white pops, the guys
Space
there.
Marine
I mean, I don't know
guy.
what I'm getting, but I know it looks cool, and there's a guy with a
Yeah,
gun.
it's cool.
His name's Isaac
You
a
can
Clarke.
lot, of,
assume
a
he's
lot of
white.
what dead space on that cover too.
Next up, Dead Space.
No bad. And this is one of the problems. Dead Space is a fucking fantastic game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Just
like
throwing-
this is like one of those things where I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
that's what you came up with for Dead Space? You don't show the Ishimura or Isaac Clarke or
Yeah,
anything like that?
I mean, look at what they've like learned, if you will, quote unquote, from EA. Is they've like,
Yeah.
you know, as you've iterated here with Dead Space 3 next to Dead Space. Like this one is obviously already more compelling with the dude, the gun. I know he's a badass. Here it's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking
Quite
at.
handy.
The hand is not going to get my grandmother who's walking down the aisle to be like, "Oh, Trevor likes
Oh,
games.
Trevor,
I'm going to
you
go
would
get
love
him
this
one."
game.
And again, that's the thing I think that's most relevant and salient when you think about it is like it's not about what attracts us because we're
Yeah.
gamers.
'Cause
We're
we know.
aware
We're-
already. We've seen the videos, we've seen the screenshots, we've run the
Yeah.
review. Like what is going to catch the eye of the guy in the store that never heard of the game? And I still think that the most effective box art is Def Jam that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
In terms of like, oh, like some
bright.
guy's gonna see and be like, oh,
Final one I'll toss at you from the D collection, Dead Rising 2.
I mean, yeah, that's great.
it's good.
Right? I mean,
Got
there's certain
zombies, got
things
some
that are
action,
kinda
got some
weird.
crazy stuff in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, still don't. I mean, I like it, but I still don't understand why they're giving Mega Man Legends so much love on this particular box art. But yeah,
Poppy
it
colors.
works. It works. You know? Yeah, it works.
Okay.
Also in the D's, I don't know if you have them there, but like talking about the Resistance one of the things I really appreciate I didn't notice like when I was first looking at them, but like the Dragon Age ones, like especially 2 and Inquisition. I don't remember. The first one has it too, where it plays with that like what's in the negative space image, which is very cool as somebody that like studied the arts. I can appreciate that, but I don't know, like it's so subtle that I didn't notice it right up front. So I don't know if the person who's walking down
the FedEx trick.
down the aisle is going to catch it either.
Yeah, I think the fundamental thing with box art is just identify like what we're talking about, what makes it good. Well, Ollie Moss's Resistance 3 box art is amongst the best box art ever made in terms of an artistic appeal.
Sure,
like I love it, and I'm a huge Resistance fan. I like the Chimera, and I'm from New York, so I like that kind of art. But that's not what we mean? You know what I mean? We're not identifying the artistic merit of it. We're identifying like what makes sense for this box art. And for Resistance
what thumbnail
3,
will get the most clicks?
Exactly.
Really what it comes
exactly.
down to.
I mean, unfortunately, that's true. And like Resistance 3 didn't sell, even though it was the best Resistance game by a fucking mile. And I don't think that box art helped. I think that box art hurt it. I think that box art absolutely hurt that game, and that was really unfortunate. I like it, but I already knew what Resistance 3 was from the fucking second they announced it.
Yeah.
Like what would have sold more copies of that game is if Capelli was on the cover with a gun, unfortunately, shooting a Chimera in the head. That's why Resistance 2 sold so well. Resistance 2, for all the shit it gets, had a good cover. And
his yellow eyes.
And I think it matters. Unfortunately, it just matters. But I understand the skepticism because if you come from especially the Atari 2600 and NES days, but even SNES and Genesis and Saturn, but then there are iconic. There's like
I mean,
Final
Super Mario
Fantasy
3 or something like that. Like that, I remember that box art.
Yeah, it was yellow and it popped, and like you
colors,
saw
that Raccoon Mario
Super
right there on the
Metroid,
front.
I think is a
Super
great one in
Metroid's a
terms
great
of
one.
just you see that and you're like, this looks fucking cool. You see Ridley super big and like Samus with the gun. It's like you don't need to know what that is. That looks awesome.
Yeah, it's important. There's to Trevor's point, like there is a lot of especially to places like EA, a lot of market research into like what I'm sure they made 50 fucking Dead Space 3 covers, and they're all then they put them in a shelf and brought people in and were like what pops, and that Dead Space 3 art is awesome, but yeah, I mean I understand the skepticism. I always think one of the most iconic covers to me still is Final Fantasy 7, and I think that Midgar's in there and Cloud with his with the Buster Sword, and it matters. It really does matter. I know that what's inside the and what's inside the case doesn't matter to some people when they're making the art. Ollie Moss probably cared more about what that looked like than what the game was. But what really matters is what's on the disc or on the card.
And that was an interesting departure because like if you think of the box art from Final Fantasy 2 and 3 here in the States, it was just like Final
logo.
Fantasy 2 was the red with the logo on it, and Final Fantasy 3 was the purple with the logo on it. But the instruction booklet art was phenomenal, and so Final Fantasy 7 was the time that they said, oh hey, let's put this out on the front and see how that responds.
Yeah, and I think that and obviously it worked.
Yeah.
So it's very cynical. It's a cynical conversation to have because I would love all art to look more like that, a little more symbolic, a little more artistic, but that's not what's selling games. Unfortunately. And I do think I like Ollie Moss. I think that the art's great and people are using him in other gaming endeavors for sure after that. But that art hurt Resistance 3, and I think everyone knows that. Just like that commercial hurt Resistance 3. The commercial for Resistance 3 was another bad thing. So it was just like that. Everyone thought you had to have a PlayStation Move to play the game because they were more interested in advertising Move than they were advertising the game. So there's little things that you have to think about like that and it's not going to matter in a few years when everything goes digital. But in the meantime, people are buying their games in stores, and so it matters very much.
Kevin Butler.
R.I.P.